transmission. Ok, on est image d'intro. Sponsor. Ok, bienvenue à nouveau à tous. Nous sommes dans la dernière session de la matinée et cette fois c'est Brian Timan qui est l'un des fondateurs du projet Joomla original. Il est là depuis le début. Qui va nous parler des secrets cachés, de toute une série de secrets cachés dans Joomla, d'astuces qui sont extrêmement intéressantes. J'ai déjà vu une partie de cette présentation, donc je peux vous dire que c'est très intéressant et utile. Comme d'habitude, les questions seront repoussées à la fin et je ferai une traduction pour être sûr que tout le monde se comprend bien dans les deux sens. So, welcome Brian, and this is to you.
So, thank you very much, Yannick. I'm going to apologize at the beginning that I don't speak French. It took me a long time to understand why people in France were laughing at my name, but I understand that's because I was in the kitchen. But I think you need to be a certain age to understand that. So, when I was beginning writing this presentation, I wanted to think, who are you and what type of creator and developer of Joomla sites are you? And I think there's three types. There is the novice, the beginner. You've got lots to learn. So just watch and listen. This session is being recorded and we can have any questions at the end. Then there's the intermediates. And I think you're doing it wrong. So just watch and listen. The session is recorded and we can do questions at the end. And for those of you who think you are experts, you are doing it wrong. So just watch and listen. The session's recorded and we can do questions at the end. For me, everything about Joomla and everything about that I want to tell you is about making your life easier and to make sure that you're taking advantage of everything that Joomla has to offer you. Because quite often, for those of you who've been using Joomla for a long time, you're not probably taking advantage of the new features and pushing Joomla to get the maximum out of it. So we've got a lot of things to cover. So I'm going to get started. I've tried where possible to translate the screens into French. There are some that are still in English, so apologies for that. So the first thing I want to show you is how you can quickly prototype a website. And you can do this just from the menu manager. So here I am in the menu manager. I just have one menu item for home. And I'm going to create a new menu item. And then it's going to be a category blog. And I'm going to call it trips. I can just go to articles, category blog, and here I can click create. And now I can create the category straight from within the menu manager. So I've done that. We can save and close that. Now I'm going to create a single article. So this article is going to be called gallery. It's a menu item type of single article. And again, I'm going to click create. Give it the article its title. And I'm going to put it in a category, but I don't have that category created yet, but I can create the category just by typing it in there and save and close. And so now that menu is done, I'm going to create a contact. Again, we can do it directly from the menu. So select, find the contacts. No. Single contact. Wrong one. Sorry. Single contact. And again, click create. I'm going to call this site. And the only thing I need to do is put an email address in. Otherwise, the form will not appear. And I can save and close that. And I'll create one more menu item for terms and conditions. So again, just put in the title. And then I'm going to go and select the menu item for a single article. I'm going to hit create, give the article the title. Again, I'm going to create the category as well at the same time, and save and close. So you've now created all those 5 menu items. Just to quickly do a quick test, and I can see here I've got the 2 articles. There we can see the 3 categories, extra categories I created. There's the contact. And on the front end, we can see now we have a main menu with those 4 newly created items in. So it's a way of very quickly getting the skeleton, the outline of your website built. This is something that I absolutely love, and very, very few people use it. And it's called content templates. And the advantage of this is we can create consistent layouts that we can reuse over and over again. It saves us time and it makes it consistent. So let's have a look. So here is the article editor. This is TinyMCE, and we can see there is an icon that looks like a rubber stamp. So to enable this, we have to go to the plugin for TinyMCE, and if we scroll down, we can find a section where we set the home directory for the templates, and it's from a drop down, so it'll automatically selected. You can automatically select the Cassiopeia folder. So here in Template Manager, we can now create these and they're just text files. And inside each text file is the markup, the HTML with the classes that we want to use, so we can use it over and over again. So if I show it in action, here's with some that I've created already. So I can click on the rubber stamp, and here are some of the templates I've created. So I'm going to just insert it, and now it's there. It's just there as regular content that I can just go in and edit and change as I want. But some of them are clever because they're not just layouts. As you can see here, the different layouts that I've created for myself. Some of them will actually take the content you highlighted and fill it in into there. So that's a button that I created. So again, just highlight the text and then select the right template. Nice and simple. But there's also, sometimes you want to have the same piece of information stamped onto every article. So we can do that as well. And this was just one that I did during COVID to put on every article. So it was the same thing on every one. So this makes life really simple. The templates you saw there are just straight copy and paste from Bootstrap's own examples. And they just makes life so easy. You just go in, edit it as you need. Especially good if you have lots of editors working on your sites. It means that you can give them a standard that they can work to, so that they structure their content in the same way. And while we're talking about TinyMCE, I want to introduce you to a tool that I wrote. It's a free plugin for TinyMCE called /tools. So once you have it installed, you just hit the / key, and then you have all these options. You can just select with your cursor, with your keyboard, or with your mouse. And we can now see I've just made it full screen. It's just easier to work with. And if I do H1 heading, it puts the text in and it's pre-selected, so I can just type in there. So let's do that again with an H2. So I just go /H2, and it's done it. And again, I can just type in straight away. And we can do the same thing with bullet points, list items. And you can also do sentences as well, and paragraphs. So again, if you're building your site and you want to have some quick content, it's a good way of doing it. You can also do some images. So I think we've got 4:3 image, and a /3 will give me a 3:4 image as well. So that's a really nice, easy, and quick way to get working with your content. Just hit the slash key, hit H1, you've got a heading, /H2, you've got a heading 2, /S, you've got a sentence, /P, you've got a paragraph. If you want that, it's available for download. It's completely free. That's the link to it. And it installs like a Joomla plugin, but you need to do a little bit manual change into the setting in the plugin, and it tells you exactly how to do that. So again, the next thing is, how many times have you been working on a site and you just can't get the changes to work? And what's happened is you've been working on one site and you've been checking the changes on a second site. But we've all done it. Yeah? Anyone who says they've never done that, I don't believe you. So what I do is I try to customize every admin screen that I have. And that way I can always visually see which one I'm on. So we can do that in a couple of ways. You go to the template style for the administrator templates, which is Atom. If we go to the logo, we can set the logo that's used on the login screen. So I'll just put a nice black logo there. The logo that's shown inside the site, this one's better as a white logo. And finally, the miniature logo. Okay. And then the other thing we can do is we can change the color scheme as well. So if I just quickly hit that to 0, and then we hit save, you'll see I've now gone from blue to this red. We've got the big logo, the small logo, and when I log out on the login screen, I've also got the logo. And this is a quick way for you to see which site are you working on. One thing that I do, on some clients, I have a dev site and I have a live site. So I'll use different colors for the dev and the live, just as another reminder to myself. Now, the other thing with Joomla is we have a dashboard. We have a control panel, a home page. And at the beginning, it looks very complicated and there's a lot of things there, but we don't need to have everything there. It might not be relevant for your website. It's very simple. They're just modules, so we can just unpublish it, get rid of sample data. I'm going to get rid of privacy dashboard for this site and latest actions and logged in users and popular articles. Okay, so it's now simpler. We can add a new one. This is one I quite like. It's going to be my articles. So this is just the articles that I have created or I have modified. So again, if you've got multiple editors on the site, this is a nice way for them just to have a list. And then the quick icons you can edit as well. So I've got rid of the users one and I'm going to add the template code. Yeah, and we can see now we've made it more relevant to our site. And you can add all sorts of other modules as well there if you want. And again, when we look at the admin interface, when we have columns, we have a lot of columns. So you can see here on the user list, there are 1, 2, 3, I think there's 9 columns. And on some views, there's even more. And depending on your size of your screen, that might become difficult to read, or it's just confusing because you don't need to see all of those columns. The problem is, if I ask each one of you, which columns would you remove, you're all going to give me different answers. So we can't do it globally, but what we have done is we've given you this nice little button here in the corner, which lists all the columns, and you simply untick them. And that way you can get just the columns that you want. Now, this is a setting for you in your web browser. The setting is stored in your web browser. So somebody else working on the site will not have the same settings as you. But also, if you use a second computer, you will also not have the same settings. So it's just to be aware, it's just for you and just on the browser that you're using, but it will stay forever until you change them. The other thing that as you build a site over time, you forget why you did something and what it's for. So this is a really good example. This is the list of modules on the site. And I have 3 modules, all called CTA, call to action. And it tells me that they're on a selection of pages, but it doesn't tell me which pages. And I don't really know which is the right one that I want to be editing. And I have to go into each one to edit it. Well, that's not very good, not very productive. But what you can do, if I just open up this module, and if I scroll down, right here at the bottom, there's a field called Notes. And anything I put in there will be displayed on that list view. So you can see I've done that now. And now I've made a note that the call to action, the second one is on the About This page, and the third one is on the Contact Us page. So it's really nice and simple. We can also, what's really nice, is you can search those notes as well. So here I search for home, and it's found modules with the home in the title and modules with home in the notes. Now, I've only shown you this for modules, but we can leave notes on content, on categories, on menus, and many more places. So I strongly encourage you to start to use that, because when you come back to your site after a while, you will know which is the correct one. Why did you do it? What is it there for? We can also, when we talk about personalizing the admin, we can also use custom admin menus. Now, this isn't for everybody. Some people really like it and some people don't, but I'll just give you a quick example. So here on this travel website, I've now got a menu item called trips. That will go to the list of articles in the category trips. Menu item to backup. Surprise, surprise, that goes to Akiba backup. Contacts, menus, and modules go to the list for those. And I've not published any of the other admin menu items. You can actually do this as well, so that you have a different admin menu for different user groups. So you might want to look at that, having the super admin, having the full regular menu, and your content authors, your managers, just having a simplified menu. It's something that some people really like, and for others, less so. Now, something that's quite new in Joomla is mail templates, the ability to customize the emails that Joomla sends out. Now, if you don't do anything, they'll look just as they always have done. So this is the email you would get on a registration to a site. It's a plain text email. It's quite boring text. This is the one for a username reminder. Again, it's not branded in any way. It doesn't identify your site other than using the site name. And it's quite boring. But with mail templates, we can take it to a new level and give it branding and make it look more professional. To do that, you go to the mail templates options, and the first thing you have to do is change the format from text to HTML. And then you can also add a logo. So you can see here I've added the logo for this site, Save Her Away. And when I've done that, the email will come to me looking like this. So the text is still the same, but it's now got a nice color branded footer. It's got the header with the logo. and it immediately looks more professional. And if it's an important email, it's more likely to be read than going into the spam folder or just ignored. But we can do even more than that. We can actually customize the text in the email as well. When you go to the mail templates option, you'll find a list of all the mail templates that exist, and you can change the text for each one in each language. So I'm just going to change this one for user activation, and I'm just going to change the French. So now that I've done that, I can change the subject of the email. So here I've just set it to site name, and I've changed that boring text into something more interesting. Hopefully Google Translate got it correct, but it's supposed to welcome you to the travel site and looking forward to you booking your first holiday. So we've made it more professional, more custom, more unique. And there it's going to start to look so much better and so much nicer. So if you've not used that yet, I strongly suggest that you do spend some time looking at those emails. Even if you just change it to HTML and add your logo, that's better than it was before. Template overrides, again, one of the best things in Joomla. One of the problems is, after you've done an update, you might see something that looks like this: 198 overrides to verify. Why does it say that many? Well, the reason is, when you create an override for categories, it copies all the template files in there. You might only have edited one of them, but they're both there, so they might both need checking. That's not very helpful, not very nice. And if you're using, I use DP Calendar, and that has hundreds of templates, and you get so many. So all you have to do is, when you go into the file, make sure that you set to show the original and to show the differences. And when you do that, if you scroll down, if it says there are no differences, go up and delete this override. Now, I do this when I create the overrides. So when I've created customization for categories, I create the overrides, I make my changes, and then I check and delete the ones that are not being used. Because the files that I've copied might get changed in a later version of Joomla, but that doesn't matter to me because I wasn't using them. But I would have to check, read, and understand the differences. So if I get rid of the ones that I haven't changed, it's immediately, I went down from 190 something down to 20. So it makes life much easier. It saves you time. Now, this is something that comes up almost on a daily basis, that the media manager is slow. And why is it slow? Well, this is my media manager. Here I've got 11 photographs of people skiing, and they're all big photographs. They're all over a megabyte in size. And the more you have in the page, obviously the bigger the page will get, because Joomla is displaying by default these images in their original size and just scaling them down. So it's loaded up there 10 or 11 1 megabyte images. When what we really want to do is just have a thumbnail. We've done that. There's a plugin, part of Joomla core. It's called File System Local. And by default, create miniatures, create thumbnails is not enabled. If you enable it, then Joomla will create thumbnails for not just the new images that you upload, but for all your existing images. And we can see that page we just looked at has gone from 18 megabytes, taking 7 seconds to load, to 79 kilobytes and less than 1 second to load. Now that was when there was only 11 images. If you had 100 images or 1,000 images in that folder, you can see it will make a big difference. Again, every website will always end up with 404 or even 403 pages. It's a fact of life. People make a typo mistake, you unpublish something and you forget to remove a link. And before, you ended up with a page like this, which was not very nice. And people have tried over the years to suggest different ways to customize this page. One of the ones that used to be in the documentation said to do a redirect to a specific page, to a specific article. But that was wrong, because that would change the header from a 404 to a 200, which meant that Google was still keeping the index of the page that no longer existed. So we can change that. We can change that now. You can create any modules you want to go on your error page. All you have to make sure that you do is put them in a position error 404 or error 403 if it's a forbidden message. And now when that 404 page loads, it loads the module that you published to go on that page. So you can make it look pretty, you can put a link here, I've put a link to a contact, you can do whatever you want, but it looks like part of your site and not just an ugly message. Now I've talked about making the administrator of your site fast by creating thumbnails of the images, but you can also make your site itself fast by using web safe fonts. These are the fastest fonts you can have because there is nothing to download. These are the fonts that exist already on everybody's computer. So there's no privacy issue. It's instant. There's no layout shift when the font finally loads and changes. Although the only caveat, the only warning is that it's not 100% identical on every computer, but they're close. And I'm going to show you this. So again, we can do it in the Cassiopeia template style. And when we go to the advanced parameters and we scroll, we can find the fonts and we select system fonts. And now we can select a headline font and we can select a font for the body. Now, these aren't fonts, these are what's called font stacks. What is a font stack? Well, here we can see, if we look at Geometric Humanist, this one here, we can see that it's loading, it'll first try and load Avenir, then Montserrat, then Corbel, etc. So those fonts will, that font stack will cover 99.99% of all users' computers, whether that's Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iPhone, it doesn't matter. You will have one of those in your system. You can see here some other examples. And so if I look at Geometric Humanist, we can see here that on a Mac, it will load the first one, on Linux, the second, on Windows, the third, and on Android, the very last one. So they're almost the same. They're not 100% identical, but they're instant. Whereas if you're using, let's say, a Google font, you have to wait for it to download. There's a privacy issue, possibly. So that's why this is a much faster and better way of doing things. So again, when you're making your site look professional, you want to make sure that everything is branded, everything is clear, and everything is easy to find. Now, when you have a lost password and someone clicks on the button, what happens? Well, let's have a look on this complicated front page. If I scroll right down to the login button, and I'm going to hit the forgot your password, and then where is it? What's happened? I've got to scroll down, and it's buried inside the rest of the modules on that page. That's not a great way of doing it. And in fact, some people make it so that their home page has no components part to it, just has modules, and so it will never even appear. So all we have to do is create a menu item for lost password. And so I've created that menu item here, but we don't have to have it on a menu. We go to the type of link, and right at the bottom it says, do you want to display this in the menu? And we can say no. That means it won't be on your menu, but it's still a published live menu item. And so now when you hit lost password, you're going to a specific page for lost password. It's not got all the modules that were on the home page. It's only got the modules that were set for the lost password page. And you can do this as well for registration, lost username, etc. It's a very simple thing to do and very quick and easy. For those of you who have been building Joomla websites for a long time, you probably have a set of plugins and modules and components that you always use and you always install before you even start building the websites. I'd like to suggest that a lot of those you probably don't need anymore, and that those features are covered in Joomla already. So please check them and see if you actually need them. There are some of them that people have used which have a really bad performance hit and you don't need them at all. But I'll just give you one example. When we first introduced dark mode in Joomla 5.1, it wasn't configured correctly and it didn't pick up all the circumstances when you would want to use dark mode or light mode. But we fixed that. So as a result, there were lots of different hacks, plugins, modules that fixed it. But we've fixed that in the core now since Joomla 5.1. So there is no need for you to install that extra plugin or module. All you have to do is you can see now I'm in dark mode and I can quickly change a link to go into, sorry, I can quickly change a link to go into light mode. So this is just one example, but there are many of modules and plugins that you used to use all the time that you don't need to use anymore. As we have just released Joomla 5.4 and Joomla 6, updates are something that you're possibly doing at the moment. And quite often we hear someone says, I did the update and I got an error at the end, but everything's working. No, if you got an error at the end, everything is not working. There is a log file. It's kept in administrator logs Joomla update.php. It's just a text file, but it's got the PHP to stop it being rendered. And if you look at that text file, you can see exactly what happens. You can see that it's downloaded a file. Which file? It's doing some SQL updates. It's telling you which queries have run. It then says end of SQL updates. It might have to uninstall some extensions. It might have to delete some unused files and folders. Then it does a cleanup, and then it says update is complete. So if you do an update and you get an error, but you think it's complete, check this file. And if it doesn't say update is complete as the last line, then it's not complete. And then you can go through and look at this. It's probably a query that failed, and it will show you that. But the important thing is that it has not completed. Every day we see people saying, I've updated to this and I'm getting this error. Well, that error quite often is one from a version of Joomla that was something that was fixed in a version of Joomla 2 years ago, but they never ran the update correctly. So they never got to the update is complete. And just so that you know, when you do an update as well within Joomla, it will always say update is complete on screen as well. So if it doesn't do that, your update is not complete. And this log will help you find or point you in the right direction of where the problem might be. So there was a feature that was introduced into Joomla, I forget now which version, called shared sessions. And I'll be honest with you, I did not understand it. I didn't understand the benefit. So let me show you why it's good. So you're in the administrator, you've created a new article, it's unpublished. That means it's not visible yet on the front end of your site. And you want to do the preview or the accessibility check. So you're clicking on one of these two buttons here. And when you do that, what happens is you get a 404 page because the article's not published. And it's visiting the front end of your site as a guest user, as an unregistered user who can't see that. So they get a 404. But if we go to the global configuration and we set shared sessions to yes, that means that when you log into the administrator, you're also logged into the front end of the site as well with the same user level. So now when you clicked on accessibility check or preview, the page will open because as an administrator, you're allowed to see unpublished content. So that makes life really easy. So shared sessions is going to log you in to the front end when you log in to the admin and vice versa. And that way you can use the preview feature and you can use the accessibility check and various other things that you want to see on the front end without the rest of the world seeing them. Prior to that, you would have had to go into the front end, make sure you could log in, etc. And sometimes you didn't have a login on the front end because you didn't need it. Well, this does it for you automatically. And so shared sessions is absolutely brilliant. I've reduced some of the topics I was going to cover just to make sure that we had time for questions at the end. I'm just going to share with you one last one. It's something I wrote about on the Joomla magazine fairly recently. You've written an article, and for whatever reason, it didn't save. It could be that you closed the tab. It could be that your laptop battery ran out and you lost all that work. Well, if you're using TinyMC, you haven't lost that work. Just go back to the article again and press the F12 key on your keyboard. And that will open the inspector. Now in Chrome, it looks like this. And if we go to the local storage tab, we can see here an autosave because TinyMC is automatically saving every minute, I think it is, to your local storage, what you're typing. When you press save on the article, it removes that autosave, so it's not there all the time. But it saves what you've done. So now you can just go, copy that, and paste it back into your article. So you haven't lost all that work. It's there in your browser. TinyMC and your browser have saved you. So if you're old like me, you might have been used to hitting save every 30 seconds whenever you do anything. You don't need to do that. TinyMC is doing that for you. With that, I'm going to stop. I've spoke for 40 minutes. I'm going to switch off the presentation and I'm going to open it to questions. And hopefully Yannick will, or somebody will translate those questions for me and also translate my answers.
Okay, because I have the mic, I'm gonna, yeah. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Merci beaucoup. Parce que j'ai le micro, je vais poser la première question. J'ai pas de compétition. Because I have the mic, I'm going to ask the first questions because there's no competition for that. Your last secret, you said that TinyMC is saving, auto-saving. Do you have to do anything to recover or just reload the page? Ma question, c'était TinyMC fait une sauvegarde automatique. Il nous a amené dans le DevTools pour voir ce qu'il y avait. Et je demandais juste s'il y avait quelque chose à faire pour récupérer cette valeur. Et il dit non, c'est juste, faut juste recharger la page et il a le truc qui est récupéré. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you have to copy it from the local storage.
Okay.
To put it back into the article that you open up might now be empty in Joomla, but the local storage has a copy of it. You copy it from the local storage into your article.
Ok, donc contrairement à ce que je viens de dire, non, il faut faire la procédure, il faut ouvrir les DevTools et aller chercher le contenu dans la zone que vous pourrez voir sur la vidéo. Voilà, il faut aller chercher le contenu, le copier là et le remettre dans l'article. That's quite unfortunate. They could have something like that. Like if there is an older backup in the local storage, they could restore it or offer to restore it. That's odd. You should do a plugin.
It would be possible, but it's a very tight integration with TinyMCE. And that starts to get challenging.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, donc voilà. Est-ce que vous avez des questions? Ok, tu as le micro là. So we have a question.
Merci Brian. Je vais le faire en français, désolé.
Oui. Non, je vais traduire après.
Dans TinyMCE, donc pour le tampon, avec les modèles qu'il a présentés vers la 3 ou la 4e diapo, pourquoi c'est pas intégré en natif dans Joomla et qu'on est obligé de faire à chaque fois un copier-coller de toute notre mise en forme HTML?
Ok, j'ai pas vu ça. Tu as un modèle
dans TinyMCE, tu as une icône avec un tampon.
Non, ça j'ai vu tout ça, je sais de quoi tu parles, mais il n'y a pas de copier-coller à faire. Qu'est-ce que tu...
En fait, il faut qu'on crée le dossier et dans le dossier, il faut qu'on importe nous-mêmes nos codes HTML.
Ok, tu veux dire la sauvegarde de...
Ouais, pourquoi c'est pas intégré directement dans Joomla?
So I had to make the question clear. So the question refers to the templating feature in TinyMCE. Like the beginning of your talk, and the question was, okay, so it's clear how you use them inside of TinyMCE, but the question is, it would be so much better is about how you create them, and it appears you need to go to that folder in the specified folder for TinyMCE where templates are stored, and you need to paste your templates there in file. So there's nothing integrated, built into the user interface in Joomla to set these templates up.
No, you have to do it within, the closest is within the template manager.
Ok, donc la meilleure manière, donc il n'y a pas, et la meilleure manière de le faire, c'est de le faire dans le gestionnaire de template, où tu peux créer un fichier et coller tes trucs. Yeah.
Ouais, voilà. En fait, je trouve ça très compliqué pour un débutant.
Yeah.
L'intégration est vraiment difficile.
So Cyril is saying it's super complicated for a novice and it's hard to use because they have to go to files. And I have a corollary questions, which is similar, which is it'd be great to have a collection of pre-made such styles or to have a way to share them somehow and have like a package that you can install. It's about the same question, right?
Yeah, so I did start to build a package of them. It is not super simple for a novice, and I would suggest it's not a task that a novice would be doing.
La suggestion, Let
just
me,
be-
yeah, donc
finish.
là, yeah, I'm going to forget if you. So, il confirme, c'est pas fait pour un novice. Voilà, c'est difficile pour un novice de faire ça, de créer ces templates, et il suggère que c'est pas une tâche qui devrait être réservée à un novice. C'est-à-dire qu'une chose comme ça, c'est quelque chose qui doit être mis en place par un intégrateur ou quelqu'un qui sait ce qu'il fait.
Ah, mais au contraire, un pro va plutôt utiliser des outils qu'il va aller acheter sur des composants plutôt que d'aller
C'est
chercher.
une autre discussion.
C'est le même problème pour les liens où on peut créer des classes de boutons. Maintenant, sur un lien, on peut créer ces classes de boutons. Il faut créer en amont les classes pour les
oui.
appeler. Alors qu'on pourrait avoir une classe bouton primary de Bootstrap qui serait déjà en natif dans Joomla.
Ouais, si ça marche avec Bootstrap, parce que ton thème ne fonctionne pas forcément avec
En
Bootstrap.
principe, on travaille avec Cassiopeia au début quand on débute.
Okay, well, okay, so it's the same kind of discussion with adding classes to buttons, and they should be like default classes btn.primary, but you have to create them, and they should be there. So it's the same discussion about making it easy for a beginner. And so Brian a mentionné qu'il avait commencé à créer. So you started to create a package. You said.
The problem would be is that you're then competing with something like a page builder. And it's not a page builder. This is about making content consistent, not about having a snippet for a button, a snippet for a headline, etc. Yeah. That's a job for a page builder if you want to use that.
Ok, donc la continuation de la réponse, c'est mais si on donc il a par exemple lui-même a déjà préparé, a commencé à faire un package avec des templates. Mais il dit si on continue dans ce sens-là, on commence à rentrer en compétition avec des page builders. Et c'est pas l'idée. L'idée, c'est juste de générer du contenu un peu consistant quand on utilise TinyMCA, c'est-à-dire les outils standards de Joomla, quoi. Donc c'est pas la volonté ici, c'est pas de faire un page builder parce que c'est pas un page builder. C'est d'avoir des snippets. Ok. Yeah. Okay. Although you could argue the other way around that. It's nice. Maybe you don't need a full-blown page builder, but having snippets, although on the other hand, is kind of nice.
But the main use for this is for if I was building a travel website and I wanted every article to be structured the same, headline, image, bullet points, short description, long description, more bullet points, then I could have a template for that, and all my content creators can easily do that.
Yeah.
It's not about giving the content creator the ability to do each one of those little bits where they want to do it.
I understand. Donc l'idée, le but de cette fonction n'est vraiment pas que quelqu'un qui écrit un article puisse avoir une sorte de boîte à outils dans laquelle il prend un bouton, il prend un titre, etc. et il compose son article comme ça. C'est absolument pas l'idée, c'est pas le but, parce que ça, c'est plutôt un page builder. Le but, c'est que si tu as des auteurs qui écrivent des articles en utilisant TinyMCA, tu puisses faire en sorte qu'ils aient un schéma complet d'articles qui soit déjà préétabli avec un titre, une image, un premier résumé, le point numéro 1, le point numéro 2, un footer, enfin des trucs, des mentions obligatoires ou je sais pas quoi. Avoir un canevas d'articles qui soit écrit. Mais pour écrire un article, c'est absolument pas ni conçu ni souhaité pour entrer en concurrence avec, enfin pour faire le même travail qu'un page builder, c'est-à-dire avoir un article que tu construis comme tu veux, quoi. C'est pas du tout l'idée. C'est juste que ce soit cohérent d'un article à un autre. Okay. Bon, Serge.
Merci. Pour répondre à Cyril, dans JCE, il y a une...
So now they are talking to each other, responding to each other. So.
Dans JCE, il y a une fonction pour charger un template, d'article, et on peut sauver par le même bouton, dire save as template, et ça va te renseigner un fichier HTML dans un dossier.
OK.
Voilà.
So what?
Dans JCE.
Dans le JCE, pas dans TinyMCA. Ah, OK, oui, ça va lui faire très plaisir, oui. OK, so.
Et pour demander à Brian, est-ce que /tools, qui me paraît être un bon outil pour construire des pages facilement, est-ce que /tools pourrait être un jour intégré à Joomla Core, au noyau de Joomla?
Okay, so there's a first or
I understood the JCE comment.
yeah, that's it. They do save
Yeah.
templates. And the second question was about the slash tools, which Serge finds quite interesting and is asking whether that's going to be in core at some point.
No.
No, la réponse est non.
It could be, but they decided not to put it in core.
Ok, ça aurait pu l'être, mais ils ont décidé de pas l'intégrer. Voilà, c'est tout. Ouais. Et puis, then there's always for command if you want to go further. Are you using it? For command. You remember?
No.
Nah.
I remember it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. That's my extension.
it's a different product.
Absolutely. But it kind of could cover that quite easily.
Yeah.
I'm not, but it could.
It's
Anyway.
the same benefit that you're typing your content with your hands on your keyboard.
Yeah.
So I want to do as many commands like formatting using my hands on my keyboard without having to go to my mouse.
Yeah. C'est la même idée. Je mentionnais for command et il disait c'est la même idée, c'est-à-dire tant que tu es en train d'écrire ton contenu, des textes, ton article ou je sais pas quoi, tu essaies de faire le maximum de choses sans avoir à reprendre la souris et c'est toujours plus simple. Donc c'est la même famille de solutions. Mais non, ils ont choisi de pas le faire, de pas l'intégrer. Donc c'est comme ça. Ok. Zach.
Merci Brian. J'avais une question juste sur la personnalisation qu'on a vue tout à l'heure du back-office avec Atom pour pouvoir mettre un logo, changer la couleur. Ça accepte pas les SVG.
Okay, so Zach is thanking you. The question is related to, the question is related to customizing Atom with adding a logo and selecting colors. Yep. And he mentions that apparently you can't use an SVG as a logo, as one of these logos.
You can, because that's what I did.
Oh, tu peux, parce que c'est ce qu'il a fait. Donc, okay.
You may have to
enable like the MIME type or something.
Yeah.
Ok, donc il est possible qu'il soit nécessaire d'ajouter le type mime. Qui c'est qui a mentionné ça hier? Ça a été mentionné. Yann Gomiro dans la vidéo. Oui. Yeah, it was mentioned yesterday that you need somehow to add the MIME type. It's not enabled by default. By the way, I'm super stoked.
The demo was an SVG.
Yeah. I'm super stoked, by the way, that what you said on the 404 was exactly what I said on the 404s just in my session before on SEO. It's somewhat very bad to not have it's very bad to have a redirect from the 404 to something else. So
that's why I wrote it, because I was sick of hearing people tell people to do redirect.
Yeah. That's terrible. Okay, we have another question. Nous avons une autre question.
Dans le même ordre d'idée, toujours pour cette personnalisation de la page, pourquoi est-ce qu'on n'arrive pas à changer l'icône au-dessus de l'onglet?
Oh, ok, le favicon.
Yeah.
Dans l'admin?
Dans l'admin, oui.
Okay. Okay, so this question is about you can customize logo and colors and all of that, but it's not obvious how to change the fav icon on the site.
It's not.
It's not. Ce n'est pas facile. Yeah. So, do you have any advice, about that?
So there are two problems.
Deux problèmes.
So the first one, the answer, is there is a page on the documentation site which tells you how to change the favicon.
Ok, alors la première méthode, c'est sur la page de documentation de Joomla, sur la documentation de Joomla, il y a une page quelque part qui te dit comment changer ça. Ok. Oui.
Right.
Okay, yeah, oui.
The second is the problem. So that's the answer. Now the problem.
Ça, c'était la solution. Et maintenant, le vrai problème, c'est.
The problem is that browsers like Google Chrome cache the favicon forever. And you follow the tutorial about how to change the code, and it doesn't do anything for you because your browser has cached it, and it takes forever to resolve it.
Okay.
So you just have,
Ok. So, bon, donc la solution, c'est il y a une manière d'aller. Il faut aller écraser le favicon qui existe, l'icône spécifique. Et il dit, mais le problème, c'est que quand tu es ce que font la plupart des gens, tu utilises Chrome ou un dérivé de Chrome, c'est que quand il a chargé ton site une première fois, il le garde en mémoire et ça lui prend un temps infini pour qu'il mette à jour, même si tu changes le favicon, ça prend un temps infini pour qu'il le mette à jour. Donc tu peux avoir changé ton favicon réellement, mais ça va pas, pour autant, ça va pas forcément s'afficher. Et cela dit, donc, c'est pas une option à changer à l'intérieur de l'admin, il faut aller le remplacer. Mais en particulier dans Chrome, il va rester en cache longtemps, et même si tu l'as changé, il va quand même afficher l'ancien. Juste, ça, yeah, I mean,
You are correct.
yeah,
It should be easier to do.
yeah. I think also one of the issues is that the favicon is like there are several options, you in a given template. I mean, we're talking about the admin. In the admin, it should be set, right? You can have just one, but there are several options, several tags that can set the favicon. So I'm not sure which one you would want to change.
It should be easy, but it's not.
Yeah. Ok. Ce que je mentionnais, c'était que dans un template admin, enfin dans un template, il y a plusieurs tags qui vont mettre, parce que tu peux avoir plusieurs de ces icônes. Tu as celle par défaut. Ensuite, sur les trucs Apple, tu en as une de 512 pixels par 512. Il y en a 4 ou 5 manières. Il y a une Microsoft aussi qui a une formule pour afficher les favicons. Donc, tu peux pas, c'est pas toujours aussi simple que d'en changer une seule. Mais ça, ce qu'il disait à la fin, ça pourrait être plus simple. Oui. Ça pourrait être plus simple. Yep. Something else? Quelque chose d'autre? Je pense que c'était bon. OK. I just wanted to mention that the translation was actually quite good. I do appreciate that you spoke so slowly compared to your usual rate, and that helped really the translation, I think. So we appreciate that very much.
Thank you. I can tell you it does a terrible job translating your French into English.
Yeah. That's very confusing. I hope it's translating my English into something decent, because that's a sign. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
We are going to stop the live stream now.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your Joomla day.
Yeah,
enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit.
Thank you. You can stay online for a couple of seconds after I
Okay.
just stop this.